Life Esteem.
Welcome to Life Esteem. Always great to have you as a viewer. Hey, today we're going to talk about gambling and what it does and, how it affects the community. And we have Dionne Baylor with us, and she's with Dauphin County, and we're so glad to have you here. Welcome, Dionne.
Thank you.
Okay. Dionne, tell us, you represent which agency that, works with the Gambling Coalition?
I work with Dauphin County Department of Drug and Alcohol Services. I am their prevention supervisor.
Mm-hmm. And you have a gambling initiative through Dauphin County. Talk about that for a minute.
Yes, we have a gambling grant through Pennsylvania State Department of Drug and Alcohol programs to actually do prevention and some treatment efforts for gambling.
Okay. And we're taking it that, we hear statistics all the time and hear about people who just lose themselves in this process. They get out there and they somehow think that they're going to win,
Right,
and next
right.
thing you know, they've lost big time. So it's a big problem in our area?
It's not a really big problem in our area. It's something that we have a problem about. There's about 30% of people that gamble. Most people do not even go to the casino.
Okay.
But it is a problem that we have to address.
Right, right.
But also because so more and more of the casinos are popping up in our state, that maybe that number of the 30% may in fact increase as well. Okay?
Right.
Because there's more availability, okay, and be able to get out there. Now, through the Department of Drug and Alcohol Services, you actually have done some trainings that for various different agencies, facilities, for treatment purposes, is to go through certification. You talk
Yes.
about those?
We have training through the Department of Drug and Alcohol Prevention programs for the state. We actually have trainings that happen that a person could be certified for gambling counseling.
Okay, good. And now, one of the issues I know, of course, is that, like you said, 30% of the people gamble, but a lot of them don't even go to the casino. So there must be other ways that they're gambling. If they're not going to casinos, how do people gamble? And they may not consider it gambling, right?
Right.
Yeah.
The lottery is a huge amount. A lot of people will play the lottery. You have where people are playing poker games at home. You have bingo. You have people that are betting on games that they see on TV, the football, the basketball. So there's a lot of different things that they do. There's also some internet gambling that people do.
And a lot of people say, well, it's just fun, I'm just playing bingo, this and that. But what are the end results? What are the consequences of someone who's out of control in terms of the gambling? Can you help our viewers understand that?
People can lose financial stability as far as they can lose their job. They can spend all their money at casinos, not paying bills, not having good relationships with their families, lying to family members or friends, losing that connection because they'd rather sit at the casino or at a card game. So there's a lot of different things that can happen because of that.
Yeah, man, oh man.
And again, it gets out of control.
Right.
And trying to reel that thing back in, sometimes it can be just more than anybody can understand. Now, one of the things I know you're doing also is reaching out to the schools
Yes.
in Dauphin County. And what are you doing in that initiative? What are you all doing?
We have organized a curriculum with Life Esteem called Too Much to Lose, and it's for middle school students. It's a 6-session program, and it talks about the prevention of problem gambling, because of course we're not completely against gambling, but we would like to prevent problem gambling, which basically is at the age that kids are in school, they're not supposed to be gambling, it's illegal, so we try to give them as much information as possible to deal with that.
Yeah. You mentioned with Life Esteem, of course, that's with Pat. She, works with you guys very closely and makes some things happen there. And how's that program been going in the schools?
It's been going very well. We use some of our providers, other providers for the program, and we also use the gambling coordinator with Life Esteem, Stephen White.
Yeah.
So it's an exciting thing. It's something new, it's something different, and schools are really starting to catch on and wanting to do the program.
Yeah, we actually had one of your providers at one of the meetings talk about how the students are excited, and even those that had been through the program last year wanted to come back in and do it again because they just thought it was so helpful, and it's a really good learning process and experience. And
Right.
also, I know in that meeting you shared too in regard to it was Reading and someone else that wanted to learn about the Too Much to Lose curriculum. What was the group that came in and you all trained them?
We trained Berks County.
Berks County.
SCA, which is a single county authority, on Too Much to Lose so that they can actually take it and use it in their schools or in their community centers.
Because that curriculum, I understand, has been approved by the state.
Yes, it is a state-approved program.
Okay, so if other counties were interested, you could still allow them to have the same opportunity.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know if anybody else is listening, but in case they were, that opportunity definitely is out there for them. You did something last year too, and through the gambling initiative, is that you actually contracted with, as far as the evaluative pieces of it, with Temple.
Yes.
Talk about that in regard to the connection and how Temple is involved.
Temple University Harrisburg evaluates our programs. Some of our programs that we actually do, especially with prevention programs. And one of our programs they are evaluating is gambling, letting us know, we had the gambling grant last year, so they let us know what we could do differently, what we did well with, what the community liked and what we could do differently. So it was a very good experience because it allowed us to find ways to improve our programs.
Fantastic, good. Now yours is a prevention model, so you're trying to educate the public and this and that. A lot of people, they just don't see it, and so you're starting in the schools, and students don't see themselves as gambling, right?
Right.
So they get themselves involved in a lot of different things. So what are some of the reactions as they go through? I mean, because I've seen some of that curriculum too, and it is fascinating, because you say to yourself, wow, I never thought about that. Okay.
Yes.
So what are some of the reactions to the kids? Are they beginning to
They're
understand?
very surprised because they don't think that if I say I will bet you my DSI game that it's gambling, but it is gambling. Sure. We just really need to define for them what gambling is so that they can understand and start thinking that when they do it, could it be harmful to me? Could it be something that could happen that could progress in the long run? So it's different things that we have them look at. We do prevention with them, but we also are able to work on some treatment issues if people need treatment.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that because
Okay.
I know we were talking about the prevention end, but there is treatment too that you are trying to avail and make out there to, and to individuals that could use those supports. And I've identified some providers that can do that type of work for you.
We have identified some providers, but the best thing for you to actually do would be to call our office at 635-2254, and we can give you all the information that's needed for treatment for gambling.
Say that number one more time.
635-2254.
Fantastic.
That is 717.
Yep, 717 area code. And so that's for treatment, and so you can get them to the agencies that might be able to assist them and that kind of thing. Have you found this to be a family problem? I mean, if it's in the family that it's more than one person affected, it affects everybody, and how does it affect people?
It affects other people because if you don't have money because you used it for gambling and you're not paying bills, it could cause problems with financially irresponsible ways, things like lights being turned off, not being able to pay mortgage. If kids see their parents doing it a lot, they may think it's acceptable in the family, so why not do it?
Right.
So there's a lot of things that can happen that's based around family.
Yeah. When I first asked you about it, you said, well, it's really not that big of a problem right now. But, the casino's relatively new still in Harrisburg, isn't it? The Harrisburg area.
Right.
The Penn National, that kind of thing, yeah. And then you do have them, I understand, what they have one in Allentown or someplace, or they have casinos in different places, which I didn't know they existed there. So it's something that's growing.
Bethlehem?
Yes.
Bethlehem, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
And so it's growing, and we never know where it's going to go. So all of this at the beginning then is to stop what we've seen other communities go through.
Right.
The rampant use of these,
Right.
devices, and then you see the long-term effects. Because it leads to other things like drinking.
Right.
And
30% is a significant number for us and for the
yeah.
state enough to actually push us to do something to help people not have that problem.
Yeah.
So even though it's at that level, it's still something that we're encouraging people to watch, pay attention to, because a lot of times what it is if you have a person who loves to see those lights flashing and all that stuff, they can sit at a slot machine and see all that,
Yeah.
and that may excite them enough that they end up sitting there more than they wanted to.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting because I've been going through some of the training, and we have a couple people the state has had in through the office that you have made available. And in one of the last ones, in with regard to family and gambling and the impact, as we just talked about the
Right.
family. But one of the things that you're talking about with the lights and the action and all the various stimuli that's happening and tends to attract people is that how people won't get up off those seats.
Right.
They
Yeah.
refuse.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are times where they will stay there for hours, and you will see their eyes get glossy, and they just are paying attention to their screen and nothing else that's going on around them.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. And I know I have a good friend, excuse me, who you know, he goes and he gambles and he has some fun with it, and he says he's very, you know, careful about not getting reeled in, you know, because he knows, you know, but at the same time he sees people, they're there all the time. And
Right.
they see him, he sees them, you know, and he said they start talking to the machine or about the machine as if it's if it's human, you know.
Yes.
Or they're actually playing games with them, you know. Oh, they're just waiting for me to get up from the seat, you know, and all that kind of stuff. He
Right.
said that it can be kind of, it's sobering to see people really spend all their lives, you know, with this stuff. And you know, he's just wondering, where does it go? I mean, where do they go after all this? So,
Well, you know, it's
yeah.
interesting, you talked earlier about the forms of gambling, and one of them was bingo. And people don't really think about bingo
Yeah.
in that regard, but it has
Right.
really tremendously damaged families.
Right.
In regard to financially, and not just the financial, emotionally, okay? That I remember going through a training a couple of years ago when we first did the 4, series, and
Yes.
one of the ladies just shared about her own mother and how her mother, because of her addiction to this bingo, hall and going, she was never available to the family in any regard.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, people be coming in from out of town, wanting to visit, and she was constantly
At the bingo hall.
at the bingo
At the
hall.
bingo hall.
And that's where she couldn't see how she was just losing, those connections with those people close to her.
I will say though, I've noticed a number of commercials where the casinos themselves have, you know, given warnings, and there's some
Right.
pretty neat little package commercials. Guys looking up under the seat trying to find money and all this kind of stuff. And those things are pretty much sponsored, I think, by those casinos, aren't they? Saying, be careful. Maybe not. Maybe they're sponsored by your office. I got to look more closely.
Some of them are sponsored by the Department of Drug and Alcohol
Okay.
programs too.
Okay, yeah. And they're probably pushing more than the casino. Okay, I get it.
They are doing the media
That's what's going on.
programs at this moment. So.
Okay, okay. But they're pretty effective. I've noticed them, and I thought, man, that's good, because a lot of
Good.
people, you know, hey, never know. Now, do you have anything specific coming up as far as, you know, Dauphin County is concerned right now, and, initiatives that may be coming up around gambling, especially with the students or community in general?
We will have our Community Give Back Day on May 11th. That will be from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. We also have an adult conference coming up on May 29th, 30th, and 31st at Temple University, Harrisburg, and there will be some gambling workshops there.
Okay.
So you could tune into that information, which we will have coming out soon. Also, we will be doing a social norming campaign for the youth and doing a cafe later on within the year.
Now, you say social norming. Help the public understand what you're talking about. there.
Social norming is basically giving a message to kids that not everybody does things like gambling, drugs and alcohol, tobacco use, things like that. Just letting them know that even though it looks like everybody's doing something, it doesn't mean everybody's doing something.
Okay.
So we do different things to make them more aware of what's going on around them.
Noticed recently in the Tri-County area, that being Dauphin, Cumberland, and Peoria counties, the PAYS survey, the Pennsylvania Youth Assessment Surveys were completed. Does your office look at that data and, you know, determine strategies based on information that comes out of that?
Yes, we look at that data. It was about 15% of the kids in Dauphin County gambled in the last year based on that 2011 data. Their major gambling was with sports betting.
Sports betting?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
And this is youth. We're talking about high school.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Okay.
So we are hoping that we're able to use that social norming campaign looking at that specifically, but some other forms of gambling also.
Now, when you mention sports betting, that just intrigues me here. Do they do it amongst themselves? Is that what they're doing?
Sometimes they do it amongst themselves. They do it maybe in bigger groups, but it's really in their own age bracket that they're doing it.
Okay.
It could just be, you know, we're watching a game together and I bet that this person gets that many points, things like that.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's the thing too that you just brought up, that it just may be wagering points, and because any kind of wager, okay,
Right.
is in fact, if it's monetary or something that's going to be received or given, is in fact gambling, right?
Yes, yes.
Because a lot of times people
Yes.
don't get that either.
Yes, and it's not just money.
Yes.
Like I said, if you're giving up your DSi game or you're
Yeah.
giving up your favorite toy or something like that, that's also gambling.
And then once you give it up, you want it back, and so you keep on trying to
Right.
best the person, and that kind of,
Right.
oh man,
Right.
it is a cycle, right? Yeah.
And we do have, Floyd Stokes is writing a book for us
yeah.
about gambling, and it will be for middle school, and it will be in connection with the Too Much to Lose elementary school curriculum.
Yeah, yeah.
And it will be part of that.
That's great. He does a
Because you
great
are
job.
doing an
Yeah.
elementary school
Yes.
curriculum, and
Yes.
also you're going to be doing a high school one too as well,
We're going to do elementary, high school, and college level.
and college.
Oh
level.
wow. Okay. Okay. Real good. So all those things are on the drawing board, upcoming.
Yes.
Yeah. In college. Yeah. Okay. Good. Because we
Because
know a
something
lot
about
of
incoming
gambling.
freshmen, okay, I guess with regard people look at that too, in regard to the type of gambling. Again, it's probably a lot of sports gambling as well.
Right.
Talking about college.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would imagine. Yeah.
Especially on their
Yeah.
football or basketball team, right?
Yeah, I remember the football quarterback for the Ohio State Buccaneers. He really made a big thing. I think his name was Art Schlesinger or something like that. I forget the name, but he was an outstanding quarterback. Was supposed to go into the NFL, and they found he had this tremendous gambling problem, and it was just ruined his entire career. Never made it in the NFL, the whole bit, and he became like the poster child, I think, for college gambling. And that's when they realized, well, not, you probably knew it before then, but he was the one that really made it, a media
okay.
phenom. So, yeah. So all these things that are coming up then, these are open to the public, especially you mentioned something May the 20, you said 7th, 28th, and 29th, is that what you said?
With the
29th,
conference.
30th, and 31st.
Oh,
The
31st, okay.
conference is open up to the public. What we'll do is once we finish with all the planning, we will actually get the information out to the community.
Okay. Real
And
good.
there usually is 2 tracks, aren't they?
We're going to look at
2 or 3.
treatment, prevention, drug and alcohol treatment, drug and alcohol prevention, drug and alcohol intervention, and gambling.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Okay.
All right, good. Usually the cost of those, are they just open, or how is that usually done?
At this moment, we're not sure.
Not sure. You're working on it. I got you. I
But
got
the
you.
Community Give Back Day, that's free.
Yes, the Community Give Back Day is free.
Okay.
And
Good.
so you
More
want
than
people
welcome to come out.
And by the way, with that Community Give Back Day, I know last year I was there, and they have all kinds of stuff. So people can bring stuff to you. Tell us how that whole thing works. Community
We'll
Give Back.
have an open time where people will be able to bring us anything that they would like to give back to the community.
Okay.
We'll collect those. Well, actually, Life Esteem will collect those, and Life Esteem will go through those and, just look to make sure everything is adequate. And we'll have them out for people to come and get. Most of the stuff is free, so it's a good activity to be
Yeah.
at.
And it's community sharing with community. I think it's a great day. So it's a
Yes.
good thing. Yeah,
Yes.
wonderful, wonderful.
Yes.
So gambling is a huge problem. We need to establish that. And so we do know that people, in fact, we've had experience knowing people who've actually gone to a casino and said, put me on a list. I don't want to come back. I mean,
Right.
Exactly.
So that's, and that is a possibility. A lot of people don't know that exists, right? People can
Yes.
select or not. Tell us about that.
You can, from what I know of, you can go there and tell them you would like to be on the list where it's basically a no trespassing list.
Okay.
That you're not really able to come into the
Casino,
Casino.
or the, yeah.
but that would really be something that you would have to talk to the state about, because I don't know what the requirements are for
Yeah.
that.
And the casinos have the right also to simply say you cannot come back in if they think you have a problem. Is that right?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure, but I would think so. I would imagine. I know that the Philadelphia Eagles owner way back, he had lost everything gambling, and it was just a terrible story. And they said how the casino just kept feeding him drinks and this and that, and he just kept gambling. Yeah, and then they put a rule in, I forget his name, but he was living up in this small apartment after being this multi-millionaire and all this kind of stuff. It was like really a sad story. Saw it on 60 Minutes, but anyhow.
So that you come up to a real good point.
Yeah.
So there's not any sort of profile of a gambler. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
That it can be anyone. It could be.
It could be anyone, but if you look at just statistics, it's usually males gamble more. It's about 18 to 39-year-olds.
Okay.
They're usually making over about $40,000. So there are some different things that do pop up, that there are some types of profiles.
Yeah. I remember one of the saddest things I remember seeing was when the casino down the way here first opened, everybody rushed. That first day, it was all the excitement and everything. And this one guy had $21,000 in his hand. He had spread it out. And he said, I had $21,000. He was standing there. This was a young guy. I'm thinking, man, if you had $21,000, invest that money, do something with that money. You're just going to throw it away?
Right.
I just thought that was so crazy. But anyhow, I understood the excitement and all that.
Yep.
But I thought, wow, this is, no. Anyhow.
But
So-
one of the other things I know you do too, and I know they worked with you last year, is your youth advisory board.
Yes.
We had them out at different, actually at the Fatherhood Conference.
Yes.
That's right. They were great, yeah.
Yeah, and they came down and they did, what do they call it, a freeze mob?
Freeze mob, yes. They basically walk around like it's just a regular time. They're just mingling with other people. And then when Stephen White says freeze, they freeze. And what they're basically doing is some type of gambling activity. It could be that it looks like they're sitting at a craps table. It could be that they're playing cards, they're doing some type of bingo, they're doing any type of coin toss, anything like that. And then the person is able to go around and talk about what problem gambling is and how it can be prevented. It's just a eye catcher, something to make people pay attention.
And I remember thinking to myself, he put together a really nice script, Stephen that is, put together a nice script, and it really brought home the point. Yeah, it's very effective, you know. So, okay, yeah, we have to get them back over there. I forgot about that. Because we have another conference coming up on June the 15th, in fact, called the Fatherhood and Family Celebration. And we're looking for all kinds of wonderful things for families to know. And that was, you know, that was a great thing. So, yeah. Good stuff, good stuff. Well, we hope that, you know, we can get the community to come out and get involved in this, because oftentimes people think about this or that, but they say gambling, they don't see that as a big, but it's big and for a lot of families.
Right.
And so we have to make sure that they are aware. Now, you have materials that are free to the public?
Yes.
Okay.
We have a resource center at our office. If you call our office, the number again, 635-2254, and let them know that you need materials or resources for gambling. As long as you live or work in Dauphin County, you're more than welcome to come in and look at that resource center. It doesn't just have stuff about gambling, it also has information about drugs and alcohol, tobacco, and any other type of health issues.
And you're located where again?
1100 South Cameron Street in Harrisburg.
Okay, very good. And that's not hard to find at all. Everybody knows where that building is, going on its way down towards Stilton, right?
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah,
yes,
not too
indeed.
far from the Department of Transportation.
Yep, that's right.
okay.
Right
Right.
behind it, in fact, yeah.
As you move on, okay, and I guess the state will determine, decide as to what other initiatives may be coming around the whole process of gambling. Right now you have some providers that are doing some treatment work, but do we see at some point that this may develop itself into getting other providers involved in working with problem gambling?
It could be something that could happen. It's just basically based on what goes on in Dauphin County, what goes on in the state of Pennsylvania, and the state would probably just determine that based on the need.
Are there other single county authorities, Department of Drug and Alcohol Services, doing similar work with gambling? Are you just the first ones in Dauphin, or how's that look
No,
like?
there were numerous grants that were given
They
through
were?
Pennsylvania Department of Drugs and Alcohol.
Okay, so this is something that's going around the state.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just curious as to what that looked like.
Fantastic. Well, you know, Dauphin County has a lot of initiatives, and I know that this is part of a greater whole, you know, because I know you guys do so many, you know, great things and everything. And here in this area, you know, we know that there are a lot of churches, and I often wonder whether, and you do a great faith-based initiative, you know, kind of thing. Has the churches embraced the, you know, gambling prevention movement, and if so, how?
That would be something that we are actually working on. I think that they will, just because they probably have some issues that are in their congregations, and it would probably be something that they would want to research, kind of look at, and then determine if they want to use it. But that we're open to helping anybody that's in need.
Very good, yeah. Because you often wonder how people find, services. Once they, of course, in their addiction or they realize they have a problem, then they start looking, and there's a lot of good resources around. But sometimes they find it right there in their local church or their business,
Right.
Stuff like that. Even employers, do you have a working relationship, or are you working on a working relationship with employers to have, I know a lot of them have what is the EAP programs? EAP programs, yeah. So is that part of the EAP process at this point, gambling?
It's something that I'm sure they have.
Okay.
I know some of our providers that are on EAPs for different agencies or organizations have gambling treatment as something they could do.
Is that right? That's good. Yeah, because I remember going through part of your training, you brought in a panel of speakers who were just everyday citizens who all of a sudden found that they had a problem. And I thought those men, they were all men at the time, did an excellent job, in terms of saying, hey, this is who I am, this is what I was doing. And, and then they had to explain who did they turn to,
Right.
know. And so, yeah, people need help. They need help.
Right.
Yes, indeed. Good.
Well, that's interesting you brought that up because they're part of gambling anomalies.
Right.
That's right.
And there are not a lot of those in our area, okay? And I was just at a training again that one of the people were talking about that whole process, that they don't seem to maintain the same attendance like NA or AA.
Yeah.
For some reason, that is usually a smaller number of people. They may come initially, but for some reason they lose them at some point. Did you ever hear that? I know that's the last session I went to, and I didn't realize how difficult it is to continue to maintain those support groups for them.
Right. And that's why they have so many they have a limited number in this area, because people just don't come. And I think there's still a stigma there that, people don't want other people to know this is what happened to them.
That's right.
I think as time goes on, there will be more people that will be open-minded about it and know that they have a problem and may seek out those services.
That's great. That's great. Well, we're going to quickly run out of time, and I want to make sure people know that they can come to your office, 1100
Yes.
South Chemistry, and they can call you again at?
635-2254.
Okay, and the conference at the end of May, it's, give us the dates and the place one more time.
May 29th, 30th, and 31st at Temple, Harrisburg.
Okay, and that's right downtown, and you
And
can
the
all
Community
find
Give
that.
Back Day is going to be on.
Oh,
May
community-
11th.
Oh, May 11th.
Oh, okay, Community Give Back Day, and that's yet to be determined in terms of the place at this point. But They
Yes.
can always call your office and find out exactly where and how to do it and all that.
Or they can call Life Esteem.
That's right. Call Life Esteem. Okay. Call Life Esteem. Hey, thanks so much, Dionne, for coming on and talking about this. This is a big, concern for community, and we need to be involved in it. And hope that you will see it as something that you want to be involved in. There's so many, ways that we can gamble and get involved and not even know that we're doing it. And we especially don't want our young people to build up a habit that becomes a lifelong, concern for them. And not just for themselves, but even for their families and friends and community. So it's a big problem. Contact Life Esteem. We'll tell you all about it. In fact, in order to contact Life Esteem, you can always call 608-2302. Talk to Pat Gaston and be happy to work with you, okay? Hey, thank you so much for watching. See you next time here on Life Esteem. Goodbye.